Welcome to Broke-Ass to Badass, where heart-led entrepreneurs learn to build the businesses and lives of their dreams with confidence, ease, and joy. This is the anti-hustle movement, and we're your coaches in badassery, Kimi and Pua.
Find out more at bledigital.com, and wherever you're listening to this, be sure to click subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Hey guys, in this special episode, we are sharing with you a live interview, a live podcast that we did in our Facebook group, The Tribe. You can find that at bledigital.com/tribe. And this is a special interview / training that we did with our friend, spiritual life coach, Tarah Long. And Tarah is taking us through a really unique and interesting training and talking with us today about unlocking your calling. So as business coaches, people often come to us really confused about their purpose, right? And we've been there too, for sure. Or we hear things like, I know I meant to do something and I want to create an online business, but I don't know where to start or what I'm supposed to be doing. And we can actually get really stuck in our heads trying to figure out our purpose, our passion, and definitely we can get stuck in the doing instead of the being. So you guys are going to really enjoy this really unique and interesting approach that Tarah has to helping you to unlock your calling so that you can really serve at your highest in this world. So get ready, definitely carve out some time, get out a pen and paper for this one, and stay tuned till the end because Tarah has a special gift for you if you want to explore this work deeper. So without further ado, here's Tarah Long. Hi, everybody. We are so excited for today. So we are here with special guest, Tarah Long. Tarah is, I will let Tarah give a more detailed description of what she does and what her calling is in the world, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. But we have the honor of, we've collaborated with Tarah. We've gotten to know her so deeply over the past, I don't even know how long it was, like a year? We don't even
Forever.
Like what time? What is
Forever.
time even? Yeah.
For like a year and a half, I think, in time.
Oh, it does not feel like that. It feels like lifetimes for sure.
It sure does.
And also you've been through our Broke-Ass to Badass program, and yeah, you are just absolute magic. So, first off, let's just kick things off. First of all, if you can share with us a little bit of your background and who you are, what you do, and then we'll dig into what we're going to be talking about today.
Sure. Thanks, guys, for having me here. It's always so fun to connect with you badasses.
Yay.
So what do I do? Oh, goodness. Well, I think the more important question and what we're going to be talking about today is, who are you? Who am I? What is your true essence? So you'll understand this more once we get into the content, but my calling in this world, in this lifetime, is people experiencing their infinite nature. So it really lights me up when I see my clients and just people, friends, whatever, when they get this they get expanded beyond their limited viewpoint in whatever moment that is, because maybe they're feeling really stuck in the whatever conditioning they have. So when somebody pops out of that, for whatever moment, it just really lights me up. And that's where all the possibilities of everything live, right? In that space. So I work with clients, one-on-one in groups. I teach, hold meditations, all that kind of stuff. I have a podcast and, whatever, all that. It doesn't, it's all an expression of that one thing. So if something doesn't light me up anymore or whatever, I don't do it. I just really flow with that right now. I love working one-on-one with people. I'm also doing some more business alignment coaching and consulting, which feels really fun. And yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. You are a badass. You are an infinite badass. Well, we're really excited to bring this training for our tribe here. And, we've been talking with you about this for a while. And I think it's so, of course, as business coaches, as you know, people are always coming to us, as I'm sure they are to you, kind of confused, and we lived in this space of confusion too. And I think we're excited to learn from you too here. Like, what we hear these words thrown around, like what is my calling? What is my purpose? What is my passion? What am I supposed to do? And it's all of this like what, and doing, right? Like we feel like there is something, and it can be curious, it can be light, it can also be very torturous, right? As especially like we're feeling this thing within us, like I know I'm meant to do something, but I just don't know what the F it is. Or maybe we're already in the doing of something and something feels a little bit out of alignment. So I know that when we've had conversations about this, it's a really radical, different approach to tapping into your soul's purpose. And I know that it's kind of, it's interesting, and all of these are just words, right? So there's a lot of like semantical play that happens here. But can you just give us like a broad overview of what this training means for you and how you define these different terms?
Sure. So it's called Unlock Your Calling. And so the calling is, in reference to what we're going to be talking about today, is your unique essence. It is who you are, like your soul's like blueprint, your theme, what you literally, the reason why you exist on planet Earth right now. That is what your calling is. And to take all the pressure off, it has nothing to do with what you do in the world, right? Your calling can be expressed through anything that you feel an excitement about. So you can you can literally live from your calling anywhere, anytime, any place. You can be in jail and live your calling. You can be in a restaurant, with your friend, and you can be by yourself at home and live your calling. So it absolutely has nothing to do with what you do, but it does bring forth, whatever wants to come through and be born through you in a really clear and aligned space. And for in my experience and with people I work with, it's really the only way I've ever experienced fulfillment is living from this place versus trying to think about what am I here to do? What's over there that I'm trying to get to? And we're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah. Do you want me to keep going, or does that?
Awesome. Can you just share with us, and I think this will get us, everybody really excited about what you're going to lead us through next, but what is the transformation that you see happen in people when they start operating from this place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool. It's and like you said, it's not about the words. It's totally about the energy, right? Your state of being that you're choosing to come from in every moment is your number one job, duty, responsibility on this planet to serve people and to live a happy life. So what I see for people is all that heaviness and pressure drops away from the thinking mind of like, oh, we got to do this, and oh, maybe we should do it that way, or it should happen this way. And all the thinking, all the hows, all the stuff that comes in that immediately contracts you, like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Or, oh, and then if you realign to the calling, like, oh, am I coming from this space instead of trying to get somewhere out there that doesn't exist? Then it just shifts your energy. Like I was working with a client the other day, and it's often people start with their calling. We go through this, very specific process, start with their calling, and they're super in their head. Like, oh yeah, my calling is people experiencing, and they'll just come up with whatever it is, peace, freedom, joy, love, which all of those could be your calling. But it's not about the words. Somebody will say it, and I'm like, okay, well, how does that feel in your body? Like on a scale of 1 to 10. And they're like, oh, well, maybe a 5, whatever. And the other day I was working with this woman, and we went through all these things, and it was getting close, and I could tell it was touching her heart. And that's when I can tell someone's close to their calling, because it feels like total freedom. And I say it's like being in love. Like when you feel your calling, like your heart knows. You don't have to ask, like, am I in love with this person? Which that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, it's like a no doubt. It's like a knowing, right? And so she said something that she's like, I just want people to, and she said her calling, and she's like, but that's so weird and silly, and it doesn't make any sense. But she came alive, and she just started crying, and she just was like, oh my God, that's it. Like, that's it. imagine bringing that energy into every single thing you do every day and having that intention to help people to experience that. And it doesn't mean it's going to happen every time, right? This is a practice. This is a master practice. This is your life. This is not like, oh, I got my calling and now every day it's going to be perfect. No, it's like playing any game that you would play. You practice. But every time you do it, you don't care what the results are because it's just what you want to do. It's what lights you up more than anything else. Like you experiencing your infinite nature in this moment. I don't care what happens from that. The results are totally irrelevant.
Wow. Yeah. This is so exciting. And I think what we really love about this too is the way that, like, we talk a lot about purposeful productivity, right? And one of the most, like, this is such a powerful way to just release the things that aren't in alignment with your soul's calling. It's just like what a freaking amazing productivity hack right there. Just like let go of all the shit that really is just extra. And so it just frees up so much energy and you're just showing up different in your life and your business and all the things. So exciting. Okay. So what do you have in store for us today? Are you going to like take us through a process of what? Yeah. Lay it on us.
Yeah. So it's really important. I mean, the actual like calling work, I prefer to do like, one-on-one with someone to really, I mean, I'm certainly going to share some of the questions that I ask around taking someone through this work. But first there's some foundational pieces that are really important to just hear and to kind of, even if the words are like whatever, just feel into the energy of that so that you can be open and ready to actually do some of the calling work, because it is different. It's not in the head. It's not in the space of the head. It's totally in the space of your deepest knowingness, your heart, your soul, whatever, intuition, whatever you want to call it. So the first thing around just kind of understanding this work is trusting yourself, right? And that doesn't mean the lower self, the lower mind that has all the bullshit thoughts about like conditioning and stories. That I mean yourself, your true self, your higher self. Your soul's desire, your trust in your highest excitement in the moment. Trust and you know what that is because you feel it and you know, like without a doubt, oh my God, I'm so excited about that. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if you don't know how the heck to do it. Like a lot of people in your course, right? They have this like excitement around creating this online business or this course or this product, and they don't know how to do it, right? But that's why they came to you, because they're like, oh yeah, that was my highest excitement, was to, join this program and know that it's going to work out, right? So you follow that. You trust yourself no matter what. You do not listen to the head, because the head will always just tell you bullshit about why you can't do it. And then again, it's like coming from the whole point of this work. It's really a radical way to live your life. It is completely radical. We have been conditioned to be goal-oriented and always, always, always seek for something else that's not here in this moment, because we think that will make me happy, right? That's the ego's insatiable hunger that what is happening now is not enough. And so I have to go looking for it out there. So just understanding that when you do that, just even imagine for a moment, thinking right now, think a thought that's like, oh, I'm going to be happier when this happens. Whether it's I'm going to be happier when I eat lunch today, or I'm going to be happier when this course gets created and I'm a multimillionaire. Like think about that thought and feel what that feels like in your body. Like, does it feel really good to think, oh, I'll be happier when this other thing happens? No, it feels crappy, right? It totally makes you small and contracts you. And it feels bad because it's not the truth. The worse something feels, the further out of alignment you are with truth, with who you really are. So it's committing to remembering the truth in every moment, and asking yourself, where am I coming from right now? Where am I coming from? Am I trying to get somewhere out there, or am I here? And why am I doing this thing, taking this action? And sure, sometimes, like you guys say, we have to eat some frogs and do some stuff, right? Especially in the beginning of building a business, we have to do some things that we don't love to do. But then, like you guys teach, we outsource stuff, right? We outsource stuff, the stuff that doesn't light us up. But when you outsource your well-being, you're fucked. You're screwed. It's over for you. Like, I cannot cannot stress that enough. When you outsource your well-being to something else, game over. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be on a wheel constantly, all the time, every day. Even if you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to create my own stuff and whatever, you're replacing one 9 to 5 misery for another because you're still trying to get somewhere out there and it's still not going to make you happy. So that's the most important thing. Know that you are the source of your well-being, always and only. Nothing else ever could be. And until you get that, in my opinion, my humble opinion, you don't have to take it, but I think you're totally screwed. So, but the truth is that you don't have to be, right? You can choose something else. You can choose a different state of being in every freaking moment. So the calling work, I'm just looking at my notes here. I want to make sure I don't forget anything.
Can I just say, like, when you had the best quote there, when you outsource your well-being, you're fucked.
Yeah.
That's like a tweetable right there. We got to make sure we get that dropped in the comments because, wow, amazing. Okay, keep going.
I love it. Just dropping these bombs because they the truth, y'all. They the truth. And so what's cool, though, about living from an aligned space is that you begin to shed attachment to outcome. And you actually do, and the ego will think it's sacrifice. It's not sacrificing anything, but you'll think, oh, then I can't care about what's going to happen. And that feels really weird at first because we're so goal oriented, right? As a culture, we're taught that if we don't have all these goals and all these plans in our 5-year and whatever, then we're not good humans. We're not doing it right. We're not doing life right if we don't have that. And that doesn't mean you can't have a goal and you can't have a vision. But make sure it's not fixed and that you're not attached to what it looks like. Because honestly, guys, your imagination is very limited. It's very limited. Your imagination only includes what you've experienced in this lifetime. Oh my God, like how limiting is that, right? So if you can imagine going beyond that to tap into the field of infinite potentiality, source, God, all that is, whatever you want to call it, then anything is possible. Literally anything is possible. And you might think, oh yeah, I want to do this course. It's about this, or this product. It's about this when you start this course. But if you stay open, I promise that magic will unfold that you cannot even imagine. So it's being unattached to the outcome of something, right? And then the stuff that's happening in your like external world, which doesn't exist anyway. So again, another topic, but you will, you begin to not care about what's happening. It's like, where am I coming from? And then all the stuff that's meant for you, that's in your highest good, will begin to unfold for you naturally because you're out of the way. You are your biggest like pain in the ass block is just you thinking that you know better than like infinite intelligence. Like how arrogant, what an ego that we have, that we think we know better and we're going to control it and make it happen. So you just ask yourself all the time, where am I coming from? Because the energy that you use to try to control and get somewhere, it's like the same output as making, where am I coming from? It's the same energy output, maybe less once you get used to this master work of coming from my calling, but the output or the results are massively different. I mean, just massively different. And when we're goal oriented, we're in linear time. Right? So it feels like you're trudging through mud. Things slow down, time gets slower, everything gets harder because you're focused on something out there that you can never get to from here. It's just impossible. You just can't. So, yeah. So let's start asking some of these questions. And you guys can start feeling into, what your calling might be. Right? And it when you do this work, it takes, I know this sounds really weird, but it takes away the idea of having a path, of like following. It just, all of that goes away because your only path comes from inside. It's so brilliant. I know I can't tell you how brilliant it is until you live it, but it's so fun. Like I can't tell you how much magic in my life has unfolded.
Well, I mean, we have the honor of knowing you and being able to watch the way you just move in this world. And I mean, you can just feel it in your energy. And yeah, I mean, you are a freaking one powerful, badass bitch. I tell you that.
Thanks, sister. Right back at you.
So, yeah. And I know that people can feel this. And so, okay. So what do we do? I'm like back into doing, right? I'm like, what do we do, Tara?
How do we do it?
Like, that's not the freaking point. The wrong question.
It's okay. It's okay. The mind comes in. It's so strong. It's so powerful. It's so full of shit all the time. How much time do we have? Because there's a few more things I'd like to get to.
Yeah, we're good. We're good on time.
Good? Okay, good. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm going really fast, you guys. But I would recommend, if this is lighting you up at all, to go back and re-listen and take notes and whatever. And of course, at the end, we're going to tell you how you can do this work, how we can do this work together, you and me. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about, and I wish I had this, well, maybe I can attach this PDF when we're done to the thing. It's about consuming versus creating. So most of us in our lives are consumers, and that means a lot of different things. But when we're consuming something, when we're consuming life, say in general, we are focused on having, especially in our Western culture, right? Gratification, like instant gratification. We want it now. We want to see the results now, at least, or at least start to see the results, because we're so attached to the outcome. Because we want relief from feeling whatever suffering we're feeling, because we're not in the moment. We just want relief, right? So we want to distract ourselves from suffering. We react to stuff, we're in reactive mode when we're consuming something. And I'm going to talk about what it means to consume versus create. We want to get somewhere. We want to get something out of something. We want a lot of things when we're consuming, because we're so focused on our individual, person, all these things. I have to fill up all my needs and my wants and my desires, right? First. And we're doing and we're trying. And it's like this, again, it's like that wheel. We're trudging through mud, right? So we're consuming something. And this could be when you're like in your course, for example, Broke Ass to Badass. You can go through this course as a consumer, right? You can consume it. You can try to get something, try to get somewhere. You're trying to get relief out of something. You want, blah, 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 blah. And that's heavy and contracting the energy. You can just feel that in yourself and then there's creating. You can go through Broke Ass to Badass and create with every aspect of it. That means immediately the energy is alive, right? You're not trying to get something out of it. You're like, I'm going to consume the content, and I'm going to, listen and do the work and all of that. But my intention is I'm going to create with it. I'm going to see, how can I fulfill my calling in this moment by listening to this next module, by learning how to do my website, whatever. So when we're creators, naturally. We come into this world and you feel best, and you can feel this for yourself when you're creating. When you just created something and it felt so good and it was an alignment, maybe it was an Instagram post, or maybe it was a freaking book that you wrote, or this course you're creating or whatever. And oh my God, it's so satisfying, right? You're creating, there's joy, there's just this innate fulfillment that comes with that. You don't care about the outcome. Again, there's freedom, there's expression, there's a sense of, what can I give? What can I give? What can I give to my fellow humans, my other selves, right? There's no one else out there. It's all just yous in different disguises. So what can I give to you? What can I help you with? There's intention, there's intentionality, right? And that intention is, am I aligned with source? Am I aligned with my calling? And there's being, there's a beingness, there's a stillness, there's a peace in that. You're not trying to get anywhere. You're just like, oh, man, this feels so good. And from that place, action naturally and effortlessly flows. You felt this before, you feel the difference. You know the difference when you're trying to consume something and you're holding it so tight, and when it's just free and you're creating and it feels so good. But in order to be in the creative space, in the creating space, and by the way, you can do this with, say, any action. It doesn't matter what you do, it's how you're doing it, what your intention is. You can consume or create with anything, watching a movie, having a beer. You can consume and create with anything. It's, what is my intention? And there's no judgment if you're consuming something, right? That's fine too. But it's not going to bring as much fulfillment, especially in the area of creating, for our people that we're here to serve. But in order to stay and be in this creative space, you must have a great relationship with the unknown, with uncertainty, which is something that most people, they say they want this epic life, right? Full of surprises and magic and money and all these things, whatever. But then they want to be secure and certain and knowing how that's going to happen. And you can't fucking have one and the other. You cannot have both. So you do have to let go of the illusion of security or safety around, oh, I know how this is going to happen. I'm going to like plot out my life, you know? Oh my God, why would you want to plot out if you know it's going to happen for the next 20 years of your life? You are full on in consumer mode. You're not coming from anywhere, and your life is probably pretty miserable. Just saying. So a great relationship with uncertainty and unknown and being okay with that and comfortable with that. And this goes back to trusting self, which is trusting in that you are God, that you are all that is, that you are source. And there is effort in this, right? It's like we have been conditioned this one way, this old paradigm of doing and trying to get somewhere for so long that in the beginning, especially, it takes more effort to remember to be coming from our calling. And then there will be apparent failures, you know, like it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Just go out and do stuff, live from your calling. It's okay if it doesn't land or work or whatever. You're going to learn stuff and you're going to keep going. You're going to keep creating, right? So you see great artists, they fall on their faces again and again and again and again, and they don't care. They just keep getting back up. Why? Because they love creating and living from their calling more than anything else, And again, no attachment to the outcome, which is the hardest thing for people that I find.
Wow. That is some good stuff. That is some good stuff. And I think we can all feel it. And it definitely makes us all take that step back and reflect. And I think we can all know the difference, right? We've had experiences where we're like, trying so hard to like fucking make things happen. And then when we shift into that place of like, you know what, like this just has to come through me. I don't even care. But this has to come through me. And the difference in the way that shows up and the vibration of that thing that we're putting out into the world is so different. And I think that's and we have this is a group full of badass entrepreneurs. And it's such an important thing for us as entrepreneurs and creators to remember that the energy from which something was created is as important as what it is that we're creating, if not more, probably more important, the most important thing. So love the way that you talk about bringing intention to that. Okay, what's next?
Okay, yes. Yeah, and I would say I agree, Kimi. I think that it absolutely, I mean, if we're getting really radical, it doesn't matter what you do. It's where you're doing it from. You know, we see things that people put out and we're like, wow. But we feel like they're like insane excitement around it. And so then we're totally drawn to it, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we're just going to go over a few of the like questions that one would ask themselves when asking, okay, what is my calling, right? And again, this isn't a doing thing. This is like your essence. So you feel a natural excitement around when you see people experiencing something, right? When you're serving another being. And it's important, like it's not when you're coming from like when you're wanting to get something out of the interaction, but when you just show up and you're empty and you're clear and you're like, oh my God, I just want to serve you. I just want to help you, want to be here for you. And when they have a certain experience, you are like, yes, that is why I'm here. And you know it. So the calling is around that. So you can ask yourself that question. Like when I see people experiencing this, I'm in love. I want to like just shout from the rooftops, you know, and you could do it all day with never getting anything in return because it fills you up so much, right? That's the point of your existence. So that's a question you can ask yourself. When, like the last time, you know, or you can just think of a time. It could be when you were 6 years old. It could be last week when you were in service to another being in this world and it lit you up. And what were they experiencing in that moment? And again, this is a process we take people through because usually they'll go in their head like, oh yeah, they were really excited, or oh yeah, you know, and then it's like filtering down like, okay, when's it going to like reach your heart? And then usually people are like, oh my God, not always, but so that's one of the questions. What would be like, say, okay, if you have a child, for example, what is the experience you would most want them to have in their life? Like beyond any others, what would you want their experience to be? Right. And, that's another question you can ask yourself. And another question is what touches you more than anything? What experience have you had that has touched you more than anything else? And this is really subtle stuff, guys. It can be really subtle. And I know for people, it sounds like that's so simple, or what, so I felt really good in that moment. Like, who cares, But that's who you are. Like, that's your soul telling you that's who you are, because you're connecting to it with the heart and feeling that way. So again, this is a process that we go through. You and I did it, Kimmy, and it was like I think an hour and a half, that we went through. So that's usually what I do with people. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes and sometimes it takes the full 90 minutes in a session.
Yeah. So going through this, it was so interesting to witness the way that my brain would come in and like try to be like, my brain would do these things like, this is, other people can figure out what their calling is, but you can't. Like, you're not getting it. Like, this is too vague and too like slippery. And I kind of just felt like I couldn't like grasp it. And then I was getting in the headspace of like, oh, like you're just saying something so that Tarah feels like you're getting it, like all like the weird stuff that like comes up. But it is so subtle, and it is more what I found very relieving in the way that you described it to me is that it is more of a feeling and an energetic, like you don't actually have to have like this perfectly formed sentence like my calling is. And when that releases, then you can just feel into the energy of who you are. It's like Prince, right? Like when he didn't have a name for a while, or it's just like,
Yeah.
a symbol, or I'm just this feeling. And I don't know, like for my brain that wanted to come in there and like have a perfectly formed, grammatically beautiful sentence and label that I could like write and post somewhere, it was a relief to just feel like this can just be something that you're feeling into. Because I think that most of us, like kinetically, we can feel, right? As you were saying, right? When people like, they just light up, like what makes you light up, and get used to that feeling and use the things that are easy, like your love for your child and your excitement that you feel when you see somebody experiencing something. Those are easier to connect to kinetically. And then we can feel the contrast of that, so that when we are moving into the world, we can start to see, like for me, I know that I am not coming from my calling when all of my tension is up here. And when I'm like, oh, I can't figure it out. What's going on? I guess I better do this. And the heaviness of like the shoulds and the like, well, I guess I'll just try this and blah. And I just, it's like a totally different feeling. And it's sort of what we talk about, right? In our program, it's like broke ass versus badass. Like that's our terminology for it. It's like, do you have that broke ass energy around whatever it is that you're creating, around your mindset, around, that heaviness, or are you coming from that lighter, joyous place? And yeah, I think our brain comes in and is like, no, that's too simple. It's like simple, but actually way under practiced.
And that's the thing, like these simple, like foundational, the essence of who you are, for example, saying that, okay, it may sound ambiguous, but we glaze over that because we're so conditioned to think that things should be hard or complicated, or we have to put in so much work to make things happen. Literally, it doesn't matter what, and I'm gonna say that it doesn't matter what actions you take in the world. It's where is your vibration and where are you coming from when you're taking these actions. I'm committed to it. For me in my calling in my life, I'm committed to not working a lot, like not physically putting in a lot of time doing work and on my computer and whatever. I mean, I like to have a handful of clients at a time, right? That's pretty much it for now. And that it works great for me. I tell myself, like, you can make up whatever story you want for yourself around, it's okay. It's safe to just but to come from my calling and to feel this energy and to know that that's enough. And it's so this deep programming that we think it's not enough. That's not enough. I have to do every moment of the day. And you can create that story for yourself if you want, but you don't have to. You can just come from your calling and high vibe it around the world. And you can't even imagine when you have the intention, you go into a store with that intention and you like interact with people. And your intention is for them, for me, for example, for them to feel infinite, to feel their infinite nature in that moment. And it's like moths to a flame, people are just like, ooh, what's going on with her? You know what I mean? So you can imagine then when you create action out of that, how people, and that's not why we do it. That's not the goal, but that is inevitably what happens, in that space. So got my, sorry, I just wanted to give an example for people to kind of get what I'm saying here. My client I was talking about the other day, she was talking about, oh yeah, my calling is people feeling loved and going on all this stuff. And then she's like, you know what? I just really want people to know that they sparkle. She's like, but that's so weird and silly. And I'm like, no, girl, that is your calling. Cause she was off the charts with that one. And she's like,
I love that.
Yeah. She's like, my calling is people experiencing their sparkle. And I'm like, yes, that is it. And then I went to get sushi, like later that evening. And I saw on, of course, this is how the universe works, this huge poster that said sparkle. And it was like this production, like this theater production. And when she was talking about sparkling, I had visions of her interacting with people and them having like pink and gold sparkles coming off of them. I'm not even kidding. The people in this photo had pink and gold sparkles coming off of them, like in the pictures below. And it just had this big sign, sparkle. And I was like, I sent her the picture. I'm like, girl, this is it.
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. So we definitely invite all of you to share in the comments if what's coming up for you, what lights you up. Start having this conversation, start talking about it. And what I love about this so much is it gets us into a place of inspired action and not just action for action's sake, but like that like bubbling, flowing type of action that is coming from such a deeper place. And so what we find is that so many people needlessly get stuck before, and I don't know how stuck, I don't even really like that word, but often they'll have this story running in their head that before, they work with us, for example, that they have to I have to really figure out exactly what I want to do. I have to have, it's all this brain stuff. And what we find is that when people actually just say, you know what, I'm just going to dive in and see what, this is lighting me up. This excites me. This thing is, I don't quite know what it is yet. I can't describe it. I know we've talked about it as the swirl, the swirl, I have the swirl. I'm just going to follow it and see what happens. And as they do that, that's when everything begins to unfold. And it's following that energy rather than staying in that place of okay, I'm just going to sit here and just think my way into action or think my way into my business or, figure out the right steps to take in order to create this thing. And I have to do all this exhaustive work to figure out exactly, what my business is going to look like. And if people would just have that trust in self to say, today, I am just going to flow from this space and see what happens. It sounds so simple and crazy, but it is so, we see it all the time, right? As we work with people, we get to see this all the time. So yeah, it's freaking magic. I guess that's my calling, right? I get so lit up when I see somebody that takes that leap of faith and just says I don't know what this is, but I am freaking in.
Yes.
And then from that place, these things that they have been, that have been just stewing inside of them, they realize holy shit, I could create this in freaking 8 weeks if I just trust and follow what feels fun and joyous. What? So it is that is freaking cool stuff. Okay. So yes. Tell people where they can work deeper with you. That sounds kind of intense, but get to know you better. Definitely we want people to check out your podcast and your website. And yeah, tell us a little bit more about the way that your calling works and what that looks like. And you have a special, offer, right, for our friends.
Yep, I do. So I have a session, a 90-minute session, I was talking about, that is called, Unlock Your Calling. So we spend this time together exploring and unlocking what your calling is. And it's, oh man, it's amazing what can happen in just 90 minutes. So I offer that. And then, if that feels good for you for the moment, whatever. But then of course I when I work with people, I like to work with them in arranging like the internal and external architecture of their life around their calling. And so this takes, some months to do, right? Where we're kind of unraveling all of that and building that trust in themselves, because there's a few ways that you can build that trust in yourself, right? You can build the trust by doing something and having the experience, and it's almost like evidence or proof to you, right? Or that's always one great way. But building that trust in yourself by doing the work of like remembering who you are, self-realization, like really prioritizing time doing that, prioritizing time being, not just doing, right? So that's what we work on a lot when I work with people. But yes, I do have that 90-minute Unlock Your Calling session available. You can find that on my website at tarahsayel.com. And yeah, I have freebies on there, 7-day challenge you can look at. There's different, the podcast, hours and hours of content. So just if you want to get to know more about, yeah.
And you have a Facebook group too, right?
I do. Yep. It's called Awaken Your Infinite Nature.
Yay.
So yeah.
You share wonderful things in there. And we love your live videos. You're like a live video rock star.
As are you.
Oh, we learn from watching you.
Oh gosh.
So wonderful. Any final thoughts for our tribe here?
Just that I think if people really could know and feel the extent of love and light that they are, they would just implode and they wouldn't even know what to do with all of it. So if you can hold on to that even a little bit, that trust, that'll take you really far.
Wow. I love the way you just lead by example. Like even that, we asked you this question and you went within instead of just saying something from the head. We saw you take that moment and go within and see what wanted to come through. So thank you you're such a badass leader. And we just love you. Thank you for sharing this time with us.
I love you guys too. Thank you.
And we will be sure to get all the links in there for everybody. And
cool.
Hang out with us again. This was super fun.
Let's do it. Oh my God, anytime.
All right, girl. We love you.
Love you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode with Tarah. You can find out, again, more about her work at tarahsayel.com, and you can book a private Explore Your Calling session with her at tarahsayel, that's CYEL, and that's Tarah with an H, .com/your-calling. And this is going to also be in the show notes. And if you're interested in finding out more about our signature Broadcast to Badass coaching program that Tarah is a graduate of and that we were talking about in this training, you can go to broadcasttobadass.com. Enrollment is open right now, and we are here and ready to chat with you and see if this program is a right fit for you. So go to broadcasttobadass.com, and you can also find us at Instagram at broadcasttobadass. Join us in the tribe, bledigital.com/tribe. We can't wait to connect with you in all the places.